Hi, welcome to IAS Factors Radar, and I am Arjun R. Shankar. This time we have come up with an interesting stuff. So, have you heard about Boston Brahmins? I'm sure Brahmins is not a new thing for us Indians. We have heard about it. We know exactly what it means. So, how many of you heard about the term Boston Brahmins? Yes, you have heard it right. The recent claim of fame is Donald Trump again. It's between India and American trade, and India has been accused of buying oil from Russia, which is already history now. And the new character that here comes is Peter Navarro. He's a senior advisor to Donald Trump's trade and manufacturing. He said two important things about India. Number one is India is a laundromat for the Kremlin. So what exactly do you mean that India is a laundromat? So laundromat is a place where you wash your dirty clothes or clean it up and look it presentable. So when you say India is laundromat means you need to understand previously Russia was under US sanction. You know why Russia was put under US sanction is because to cut off Russia's income. But Russia started selling cheap oil. It started selling cheap crude oil, and India was one of the first countries to quickly go and buy the cheap oil from Russia. So Peter Navarro says India is a laundromat, means India is buying this cheap sanctioned oil and processing it in the refineries of India, which is a laundromat. So India is a laundromat of Kremlin. So this is why India is processing the cheap, dirty oil of Russia. And number second, he meant Indians, the Brahmins of India, are profiteering from the common people of India. Now the key question comes, did he mention the Brahmins or the caste in India? Most probably this was a metaphor where he said Brahmins meant it's an elite group of people. That means when the prices of oil came down, an elite group of people are profiteering from this. That means they are using this opportunity. They are the Brahmins called the elite group. So most probably he must have referred to a concept called Boston Brahmins in America. So what is the concept of Boston Brahmins in America? Are they Brahmins or Indians who have settled in America? Absolutely not. This has nothing to do with Indians. Boston Brahmins is a term that has been given to certain group of people. This has to go back to 1800s and 1900s. And it has absolutely nothing to do with India and the caste, because in India, we talk about the caste system. Caste is a caste, and caste can lead to a class. You are rich or poor, irrespective of your caste. Like Boston Americans are a group of people, nothing to do with their origin. They're basically rich people. Like in India, we have the caste system, the Purusha Sukta, the old age caste system, right from Brahman, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya. But this time, Boston Brahmins meant it's a group of elite people. So why do you call this as Boston Brahmins? Is because the story goes back to 1800s, and 1800s and 1900s, the people who were settling in the United States of America were from Britain. The settlers were from Britain who were rich people. The parents, grandparents, and even great-grandparents were rich people. They brought their inherited money. They were engaged in trade, banking. They had huge money, and they settled in the United States of America. And the point is, they settled in small clusters. They became a very rich elite group. They started to live in huge palaces over hilltops, beautiful gardens, and maintain, even they had upper caste, the upper class Boston accent. They went to colleges, they got the best education, they even controlled the trade, they even controlled the universities like Harvard. Most of them went to the Ivy League, and some of them lived an extraordinary, luxurious life. So these group of people, that was a time when Oliver Holmes created a name in 1861. He coined this term called the Boston Brahmins. That means the Brahmins, the new caste of New England. He coined the term the Boston Brahmins, the Brahmins of the New England. What do you mean by New England? Is the people, the New England obviously means the people who came from England and settled here. So these elite group of people who were starting to control everything became the Boston Brahmins. Nothing to do with their birth. It all mattered. Money, finances, and resources mattered the most. To sum up, Boston Brahmins were ultimately a group of aristocrat people who exactly resembled like the British aristocracy. They brought the same aristocratic values and style from Britain to America. And they were a large group of people. I said they had a great preppy type of dress. They spoke a high accent. They could easily be figured out. They could easily be figured out from the normal population. And they were great supporters of literature. They funded a lot of colleges, universities, gave funds, patronized arts. They were front runners in everything. And the most important being the Boston Latin School. So this is something that you can associate, and some of the most famous Boston Brahmins were the former American presidents John Adams, John Quincy Adams, and the famous poet T.S. Eliot, and to some extent you can even call Franklin Roosevelt from this league. But there is some differentiation between, because some people attribute Franklin Roosevelt to the New York Hudson Valley elite group and not from the Boston Brahmins. But anyway, we have two American presidents who are exactly from the Boston Brahmin community. And the next important reason was the problem or the opposition of the immigration or the immigrants. These Boston Brahmins did not like people from other places to come in. And the most important thing was the Irish Catholics. They did not like the Irish Catholic people because the Boston Brahmins were Protestant elite people from London. So when the Irish Catholic, the people from Ireland, that was a time when there was a potato famine going on. What exactly is a potato famine? The potatoes failed and the farmers had a bad time. So these people came to America and settled down. So the Boston Brahmins did not like the Irish people because for them they are Catholic people, poor people, uneducated and absolutely low in culture. And second category was the African Americans, and they did not like the African Americans. For them, it was a racial superiority. And also, there were another minority groups that came into the US. So, Irish people, the Catholic people, African Americans, and the minority groups all settling within the Boston Brahmins created a strong rift. These people did not, Boston people, the Brahmins did not like these people. So, the next important thing is exactly that we had our system in India, where what we did to our communities, like what Indians did to Shudras and Vaishyas, they were controlled. And the most important thing that you will remember is even the reading book ban, they were not allowed to read, they were not allowed to carry certain books, they were not allowed to come near certain places where Boston Brahmins came. This is exactly the replica of how Brahmins in those times in India had this untouchability system. And look at the geography of Boston. Boston is actually in a peninsula, which is, it has only a narrow land which connects to the mainland. It's in a peninsula. So obviously the Brahmins of the Boston Brahmins were living in a secluded area. Like we say, they live in white towns where the elite people live. They lived in, all the big palaces, mansions of these people were in one area where these people were secluded from the other people. They could not come here. Though they maintained that strict lifestyle geographically also. And the most important clubs, institutions, big organizations, everything was within the Boston, and it was cut off from the local people. So this is how the Boston Brahmins ensured or enforced their hegemony, their white supremacy or aristocratic hegemony over the common people, the Irish, the African Americans, and the minority. So next time when you hear the word Boston Brahmins, in all meaning, they were exactly like the Brahmin community, and also they made sure that they married within their unit. They made sure that they did not marry off their daughter, they did not marry off their son to another group of people to maintain that cohesion or maintain that class, the clan. They have to be within their system, exactly like what happened in India. So this is the story of Boston Marathon. I'll come up with another interesting episode in next Radar, and until that, it is Arjun R. Shankar for IAS Factor.